Hello. Hello, and welcome to the stream. I forgot to do this like 2 weeks in a row, and now it's probably going to update next week or this week. But now that I'm here, and we're all home stuck for our quarantine, might as well get into the spirit of it. Let's continue reading. Hold on. Content note, this chapter contains discussions of suicide, a conversation regarding relevance. I keep changing it. Oh, is this Callie? Hold on, I gotta announce this on my Discord first. Then I can start reading. Okay, just ping here. Just wait for people to get in. All right. Now that we're here, let's go. Space is vast. An unproductive statement, almost a tautology, and although tautologies can be worthy through exercises, they become virtually meaningless when it comes down to the actual transmission of information. I believe it is for that reason most beings don't use them in day-to-day parlance. The lives of the many are far too volatile and instinct-driven to want to waste time while saying that which is already true. Tautologies are in general reserved for stories, for narrative device, for finding new and inventive ways to tell an audience that which they already know, and at the end of the day, are not all diffusions of knowledge at least somewhat tautologist in nature? In order to recognize the value of my words, you must first know what they mean. You must predict my intentions. But I digress. Arguments with my brother would often dissolve into such nonsense, the shouting of truths back at each other, neither of us able to convince the other of righteousness of our stance. We were never meant to agree. It isn't in our blood. Space is vast. Everyone knows it. But most sentient beings in their many universes never have any way or reason to experience it firsthand. Even in societies advanced enough for spaceflight, most people will never leave their atmosphere. When they scoff at my tautology, space is vast, what do they really know? Nothing. As far as any of them have experienced, space does not exist. Oh god. It's all calliope. What? Very few have stood and looked into the abyss, the true gulf of nothingness that spreads out around the single point of consciousness adrift in a constellation. All the combined weight of sentient endeavor would quail underneath that sheer, irresistible truth. The realization that they are so small, that the universe cares about their puny lives so very little, sitting in the glowing light of the stars, this becomes even more apparent. Are we out of orange juice? That's Callie for you. Jade, are you talking to me? Because if you are, I would like to remind you that I hate orange juice. No, you don't. Well, I guess I never really had a strong opinion in it before, but now I can't stand it. It's all you drink. I like the pulp. It's my body, and I don't want orange juice. I hate pulp, and I didn't just make that up to spite you. Who wants strings in their juice? I do. Ah! I realize that Jade's situation is less than ideal for a characterization perspective, but I still politely point out that nobody likes a whiner. Fuck you, rude calliope inside my head. From a characterization standpoint, I think you are pedantic, annoying, and just a general huge drag to be around. Why don't you try being possessed by the spirit of some other version of a good friend of yours, and float around a spaceship full of people you love, unable to affect anything or say hello to anyone? Then tell me about whiners. I killed my brother and consumed him. Sounds like a you problem. Jade is back! Jade is back! I suggested the witch that I have spent untold eons in the void between universes, waiting for the moment I would be needed to prevent the dissipation of reality as we know it. Her appeals to emotion will not help her. I will remain unmoved. Well, I had to watch my boyfriend and my brother die in front of me in a tiny scaled version of a world that I shrunk for them, then spent the next 3 years talking to myself racked with guilt that I'd kill them. I reminded the witch that my time is in the void, which is far darker and lonelier than a ship full of lizards, and I add it was also eons, a length of time that is, traditionally far longer than 3 years. Ask her to excuse my pettiness in pointing it out. No, this Callie is so petty. Like, that's not how you deal with a friend. You're a member of a species designed for long periods of isolation. I'm a human, or at least I started out that way. Even if I had the powers of a first guardian, my brain still works in modules of human pattern recognition. 3 years is a long time for a human teenager. I don't care how many of her molecules are made of a god. I point out that this back and forth is becoming childish, and if, oh my god, stop narrating! What are you even talking to? The audience, of course. Audience? Ugh, this is so annoying. I can't tell if you're being serious. Your voice is impossible to read, and I can't see your face. Oh, well, that's better. Of course. You're right that I'm being silly, and I didn't mean to start a slap fight over who has suffered more. Clearly, you've been through a lot more than I could ever possibly imagine. You're the same Callie who talked to me and Jade when we were unconscious back in the game, right? There's a lot of everybody running around, and I guess I haven't been keeping the internal tally that I should have. Yes, that's correct. But I think it is a very natural thing to be silly when you're used to being able to control your own body, but now you can't. I will allow that, yes. So, I will stop yelling at you, but I reserve the right to start yelling again in the future if I have a good reason, okay? That seems fair. Jade looks at me with the face I've looked at in the mirror for the last few months on board this vessel without a name. No one can decide what it should be called, possibly due to the comical nature of its construction. For a while, there was an ongoing list of ideas hanging in the common room, but it quickly devolved into a cluster of more and more obscene memes, until one day the night tore it in a fit of pique. What? Don't ask me to tell you which night. You know which one. Jade smiles. Dave and Karkat will always be a source of pain for her, a low ache somewhere under her center of gravity, but she is happy for them. She knows that there is really no other alternative for how to be. They chose each other over her, and they always will. They are two people who matter to her the most in every universe, and that will not change, no matter how much she wishes it would, no matter how... Do you actually know that? Pardon me? Do you actually know that I'm doomed to pine over Dave and Karkat across every iteration of reality? Like, can you actually see that? Because you're a space player like I am. I know that you're more powerful than me, but I don't think you can see other timelines any better than I can. I think you're just being dramatic for the audience, whatever the heck that means. I experience a moment of unease as Jade looks at me. Keeping her out of my thoughts is proving to be more difficult than I'd first assumed it would be. Had begun confident that I could keep her consciousness sleeping peacefully inside the shell of her body, tamed and quiescent, but she has proved to be more irascible than I initially gave credit for. I've never been particularly tameable, and my consciousness is huge. Jade is back. Sup? And she's just, yeah. Why is Callie like this? You're a pretty tough crowd, evil Callie. But yes, I can hear most of what you are thinking to yourself. If it took a little while to separate it from my own thoughts, just like it did with Dirk, because that's what he was doing the whole time, wasn't it? Controlling our thoughts, making us believe things we never would, things you thought we should believe? Ah! Oh my god. Okay, stream is back. Computer crashed. Oh my god. I don't even know how that happened. But we're back. And here we are. I had been wondering when we would get to the prince, and Jade's knowledge of the chaos he has wrought within this timeline, and who knows how many others. I assume she realizes how many resources the prince put into keeping her still and asleep, firmly out of the game, so as to prevent granting me access to the universe in order to foil his campaign of endless hubris. Jade knows all of this. I don't have to tell her. She's a very bright girl, and even if she didn't have partial access to my thoughts, she is good at compiling data and using it to fill in gaps. As she herself had rather licentiously mentioned, her brain is quite large. And all these reasons are why I know I can count on her to be reasonable and realistic about her situation. I need a body to continue interfacing with this timeline, and her body is the only one that will do. I hear her wonder, what about Kanaya? What about Kanaya? Hey, what about her, Jade? She's a space player, it is true, but her powers are nothing compared to yours. For one, she isn't god tier, and for two, she is dead? A living dead, but dead nonetheless. What happened to Kanaya? Are you... what? So when Kanaya was going on her trip to find Rose or whatever with Dirk and Karakat and Jeff, what? And Estelle's specializations lie on a different end of the spectrum from my own, which is far closer match. Huh. No, Jade. No, Jade understands and sympathizes with my assurance that her body and her body alone will do for my purposes. No I don't. She does. After all, she would not wish this sort of state of being on anyone else, and especially not on one of her friends. Jade may have undergone a lopsided number of narrative hardships in her life, but at least she is used to them. Why spread that suffering to another? Jade understands and accepts her place in the story, which has always been to enable events to play around her, just as it has been mine. Callie, no, you can't do this. Because what is a story, truly? Nothing but a series of misadventures and connections, actions, spurring reactions, tumbling into one another over and over and over. With so many competing interests, clearly the story cannot account for all perspectives, for through all threads. It would be laughable, even childish, even selfish to demand that they do. In other words, not everyone will achieve a happy ending. This is a truth that Jade has come to grips with a long time ago. Wait, stop. Why are you saying all of this? Jade's body is my vessel, and it is through this realization that she will understand her true role in the story, her true relevance. If I released my hold on her consciousness, there would be no guarantee that I would be allowed in again. Therefore, I cannot permit her the control of herself that she so desperately craves, and she understands that. Wait, so you could give me my body back and then just hop back in when you need to? In theory, yes. Then what the hell, Callie? Because I don't trust you to cooperate when the time comes. Why not? I thought you said I was a reasonable girl with a huge brain. Callie, what the hell, man? Homestuck too strong, yeah. You are, to an extent. She is, but the truth of the matter remains that humans are capricious and emotional, and even Jade herself can admit that she hasn't been the most committed example of her species in the last few years. Literally none of the kids are, except John. She lived isolated on an island with her stuffed grandpa. What do you expect? It looks... No, that's glass. Okay, sorry, I'm checking out this. People want me to identify rocks. Why is Callie like this? What is that supposed to mean? Moving from lover to lover, job to job, interest to interest, over the last few years, Jade had found herself listless, unable to settle, and unwilling to commit to anything or anyone. She knows there's nothing wrong with that on a moral level, but on a personal level, she's always believed that she could be more, nothing could do better, be better, and now, because of this, she realizes that sacrifices must be made, and she, as a space player, is uniquely built for sacrifice. Excuse me. Yeah, I guess you're right. I have been a silly little... What? A silly little slut? Hey, Callie! Yes, Jade? Oh my god, what is that? She points into the darkness. It's nothing, of course. There's nothing here besides the two of us. The space is utterly under my control. Jade could control it too, if she had any access to her own powers. But with my grip around her cortex, there's no chance of that. I know there's nothing behind me. She's being silly, but I'm not Dirk Strider. I don't mind indulging in the whims of silly girls if it makes them feel better about their situations. There's nothing wrong with humoring. Oh, Jade! And she tackles Calliope. And here I make my first mistake. Until this point, I've counted on my superior narrative brain fart. On my superior narrative power and class strength to keep her under control, but bringing her to a place where you can both physically manifest has left me foolishly vulnerable. When you are dealing with an epically powerful space player and former borderline omnipotent being, you forget that even with her power stripped, she is quite a formidable physical force, a young woman in the prime of her life, with a canine's instincts and the fierce desire to sink her teeth into something she can tear apart. And right now, that something is happening to me. Her fingers tear at my throat, trying to find purchase. She won't be able to kill me here, but it is certainly unpleasant, and not to mention slightly repetitive. We just saw this in the previous chapter, although this particular fight will not end as amorously as the last one did, so don't get your hopes up. Who are you talking to? Oh. What is going on? Get him! The girls are fighting! Get him, Jade! Green? Green. During the ship's trip through space, there have been numerous experiments, modifications to the nutrition. I need to slow down. There's been numerous experiments, modifications to the nutrition output of various machines designed to create sustenance for the various species on board. I myself have been content with orange juice and synthetic proteins, but Dave and Roxy have both expressed longing for various earth snacks, and so the trials and errors began. Oh god. The results were mixed. As Roxy told us in a previous chapter, alchemized food all sorts of taste the same, although the visuals really help to bring the flavor. And at the end of the day, this isn't the journey that is more important than the destination. Stories that you tell as you create strangely flavored nutritional paste? Huh? So far, everyone's attempt has been a vaguely peanut butter and chocolate flavored creation called rices. Nobody eats them really, they just sit in the bowl on the counter. I'm not actually sure what the witch is trying to accomplish here. You don't? Really? I don't know what she's trying to accomplish, because surely she would not be doing what it appears she is trying to do, to making such a meaningless threat. Meaningless? Do you even know anything about the body you stole? Shouldn't you have run some sort of psychic physical before you possessed it? It's definitely what I would have done. Oh, she's gonna eat chocolate, and dogs can't chocolate. Jade must know that I'm well aware of her family-wide peanut allergy, a story thread that has been extremely important and weighed in on multiple parts of the narrative. How could I have forgotten such a key detail? But of course, Jade knows that. She's just being silly and dramatic. She knows that a suicide threat is utterly meaningless when made by a god. There's nothing remotely just or heroic about dying from self-imposed anaphylactic shock in the throes of a childish tantrum. At the most, I'll get a relaxing few minutes to sleep. Do you really want to risk it? What are you talking about, Jade? I just said, I don't know, Callie. I've never really understood the rules that cover the death of a god tier, have you? It seems pretty arbitrary from where I'm standing. Who makes the decision whether or not something is heroic or just? That's certainly unclear, but it certainly isn't you. Right, of course not. But are you so confident that you are a good guy? Are you sure the Alpha timeline wants you to be here? What? You've done some stuff, Callie. I'm only saying you shouldn't be so quick to assume that me killing you wouldn't be just, and that I'm taking my own life to do it wouldn't be heroic. Oh. Oh. Get him. Oh god. Is this it? I guess it's a loop. Let's go. I don't let the witch manipulate me. I refuse to falter in the fate of her whispers. Without my careful planning and swift action, the prince would have taken full control over this timeline. None of my friends could even begin to imagine the turmoil. At least Dirk knows that he is the bad guy, but Callie thinks evil Callie thinks what she's doing is right. They aren't your friends. You took them from me. Do you really think any of them would side with you over me? You keep saying that you are doing all of this for my own good, but you're just lonely. I know you are, because so am I. If you're so utterly convinced of your virtue, then let me do this. You said that being a space player is all about sacrifice. Well, bet. Oh. Whoa! Callie hopped out. Holy shit. Oh my god. Yes, Jade is back. Oh my god. Callie, go. Callie, no, what you have to do is... But Callie's so great with Roxy, but then shit happened, and what is this? Who is this? Oh my god. I can't believe you've done this. Why? Let's look at that again. Holy shit. Bet. Then, oh my god. Fucking bet. She finally gets her autonomy back, if only for a moment. How long was this stream? 20 minutes. It's all 20 minutes of reading per chapter. But wow. Just wow. Oh my god. I can't wait for the next chapter. I hope we continue on this line of the story. But yeah. Holy shit. I gotta end the stream here. That was good.